In today's episode, we will delve deep into the fascinating life of Kublai Khan, the legendary founder of the Yuan Dynasty in China, and the first non-native ruler of the nation. We will explore the rise and fall of the Song Dynasty, the shifting Mongol capitals, and the intricacies of Kublai's rule over his vast empire. From witnessing the largest naval battle in history to the disasters that struck the Mongol fleets attempting to invade Japan, prepare to be amazed by the wealth, power, and intrigue of Kublai Khan's empire. As always, if you enjoy the content, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell for more fascinating stories from history. Now, let's dive into the extraordinary world of Kublai Khan and the Yuan Dynasty. Kublai established his capital at Chengdu and later designated Dadu as its successor. During Kublai Khan's rule, the Mongol Empire reached its largest size, extending from the Caspian Sea to the Korean Peninsula. However, the empire faced challenges, including mixed results in campaigns in Southeast Asia and two unsuccessful invasions of Japan in 1274 and 1281. Kublai, the last notable Mongol ruler, passed away due to illnesses worsened by excessive food and alcohol consumption, and his burial site remains undiscovered. Born in 1215, Kublai was the second son of Tolui and the grandson of the Mongol Empire's founder, Genghis Khan. While his elder brother Mongke ruled the Mongol Empire, Kublai was appointed as the viceroy of Mongol-dominated northern China. He used this time to build a strong support network and gather a team of skilled advisors, such as Liu Bingzhong. Beginning in 1253, Kublai joined Mongke in his campaigns against the Song Dynasty in southern China. The Mongol army advanced through Tibet and Yunnan, conquering the Dali Kingdom in 1257. This allowed them to launch a multi-directional attack on the vulnerable underbelly of Song China. However, Mongke's sudden death due to illness on August 11, 1259, halted the campaign. Mongke's death led to the abandonment of the campaigns against the Song Dynasty, as Mongol commanders scrambled to determine a successor. A civil war erupted between the primary contenders, Kublai and his younger brother Erik Boke. Both declared themselves as the new Khan, ultimately resulting in Kublai being victorious and becoming the ruler of the Mongol Empire. The two-Khan situation persisted until 1264, even though a Mongol tribal chiefs gathering known as the Kurultai officially declared Kublai as the great Khan of the Mongol Empire in 1260. Erik Boke's popularity stemmed from his conservative views, and he held the upper hand by governing the empire's central region and its capital, Karakoram. However, Kublai ultimately triumphed, owing to support from Central Asian princes, control of the Mongol imperial bodyguard, and a vast array of resources as China's viceroy. Although being the Great Khan remained an esteemed title, the empire had effectively disintegrated into multiple khanates, each overseen by Genghis Khan's descendants. Kublai may have ruled over the grandest and wealthiest part of the former Mongol Empire, but his true aspiration was to obtain an even more distinguished position. In 1266–67, the construction of Dadu marked a significant representation of the Mongol conquest of China. Kublai Khan, who enjoyed customary Mongol activities, such as hunting and consuming fermented mare's milk, divided his time between Dadu and Chengdu. Establishing himself as the Emperor of China, Kublai adopted the reign name Shizu and, in 1271, named his new dynasty Yuan, connoting origin or center, distinguishing himself from previous Mongol rulers. The Khan-turned emperor embraced Chinese culture, wearing the traditional imperial robes. This was an integral aspect of his strategy to be recognized as the legitimate ruler of the Chinese people. Surrounding himself with Chinese ministers and Confucian advisors, the emperor appeared to be embracing Chinese ways. However, behind closed doors, crucial state positions were assigned to non-Chinese individuals, particularly those within the Mongol imperial bodyguard and financial experts who were Muslim. In the 12 semi-autonomous provinces created by Kublai, which included China and northern Korea, key administrative roles were also reserved for Mongols. The 6 Chinese ministries, which were established during the Tang Dynasty, persisted. However, Kublai abolished the civil service examinations that had favored Chinese officials with Confucian education. Moreover, there was no Chinese imperial court protocol at the Mongol capital, Karakoram, indicating that the emperor's Chinese appearance was solely for the benefit of the Chinese population. To maintain an upper hand in China, Kublai officially deemed Mongols superior in rank to the Chinese, implementing various forms of segregation. For instance, Chinese individuals were prohibited from adopting Mongol names, attire, or language. Intermarriage was discouraged, and punishments for crimes varied based on the ethnicity of the guilty party. Contrary to being strictly motivated by race, Kublai's primary focus was on governing his subjects effectively, which involved measures to identify individuals and prevent rebellions. For instance, Chinese people were not allowed to carry weapons or gather in public spaces. Kublai Khan did put forth significant efforts to unify the various populations within his empire. He promoted the use of multiple languages in his administration, embraced religious tolerance, and even ensured diverse dishes were served at the imperial court. Kublai himself converted to Tibetan Buddhism, likely influenced by his chief wife and advisor, Chebi, as well as the Tibetan monk Phags Paloma. The latter was entrusted with devising a new official language to further unite the different nationalities under Kublai's rule. However, this idea did not gain traction outside the court. One clear policy pursued by the emperor was the promotion of international trade. Artisans, who had previously been assigned low social status, benefited from the Mongol rule, possibly due to the nomadic Mongols' admiration for fine porcelain and artwork. Thus, Kublai granted artisans tax exemptions. Merchants, who were once discriminated against for their roles as exchangers rather than producers, also enjoyed more favorable tax measures and the abolishment of sumptuary regulations. They were encouraged to utilize paper money, and improvements in currency exchange, infrastructure, and transportation facilitated the movement of goods. As a result, trade flourished, particularly in the fine porcelain industry. Kublai also extended support to other professionals whose practical contributions to the society, such as doctors and astronomers, impressed him. In 1271, the renowned Venetian traveler Marco Polo embarked on his journey across Asia, ultimately reaching China during Kublai Khan's reign. Between 1275 and 1292 CE, Marco Polo served Kublai, seemingly as a roaming ambassador and reporter in the more distant regions of the Mongol Empire. Upon returning to Europe, Marco documented his experiences in his book, The Travels of Marco Polo, first circulated in 1298 CE. His accounts are among the best sources for the Yuan Dynasty and the emperor. Going back to 1268, Kublai's motivation for incorporating Japan into his empire while he was still battling the Song remains uncertain. He might have been interested in its resources, or perhaps he sought prestige, as conquering new territories was a traditional way for Mongol rulers to solidify their power. Alternatively, he may have wanted to cut off trade between Japan and Song China, thereby weakening his primary adversary. Conquering Japan would have granted him access to an army comprising well-trained samurai, or the invasion could even have been an act of revenge for the disruption the Japanese pirates had caused along the East Asian coastlines and to trade ships. Regardless of Kublai's intentions, his strategy was clear: diplomacy first, followed by warfare. Starting in 1268, Kublai sent ambassadors, but their requests for tribute were completely disregarded. However, Japanese forces were placed on alert in areas where an invasion seemed most likely. This was a wise precaution, as Kublai grew impatient and assembled a fleet of about 800 to 900 ships from Korea in November 1274. This fleet transported approximately 40,000 Mongol, Chinese, and Korean soldiers. The Mongol forces encountered strong resistance on the outer islands, but the invasion fleet continued towards Hakata Bay, landing on November 19th. Although prepared, the total Japanese defense force amounted to a mere 4,000 to 6,000 soldiers. Nevertheless, the Mongols triumphed in the initial battles thanks to their superior numbers, weaponry, and coordinated troop movements, a tactic not employed by the Japanese, who favored letting individual warriors choose their own targets. Interestingly, the invaders did not venture further into Japanese territory. The invaders stayed close to their ships overnight and retreated to the bay on November 20th. According to some sources, a fierce storm struck that night, killing up to a third of the Mongol army and causing significant damage to the fleet. As a result, the attackers had no choice but to return to Korea. In an attempt to resolve the conflict through diplomacy, Kublai Khan sent 2 more embassies to Japan in 1275, demanding tribute once again. However, the Japanese were even less accommodating this time, going so far as to execute the ambassadors. During this period, Japan took the opportunity to strengthen their fortifications and prepare for the inevitable second invasion. In June 1281, Kublai Khan launched a considerably larger invasion fleet compared to the first attempt. With the recent defeat of the Song and acquisition of their navy, the fleet now consisted of 4,400 ships and around 100,000 soldiers, including Mongol, Chinese, and Korean troops. The primary point of conflict was once again Hakata, but the newly established fortifications managed to hold up against the attacks. After suffering heavy losses, the Mongols retreated to Iki Island, where they were continuously harassed by Japanese ships employing small boats. Despite the setbacks, Kublai successfully sent reinforcements from China, possibly totaling another 40,000 soldiers. The combined fleets then proceeded east to attack Takashima on August 12th. Intense combat persisted for several weeks, and it is likely that the invaders struggled with supply shortages. Unexpectedly, the weather once again played a crucial role in the conflict. On August 14th, a typhoon devastated the majority of the Mongol fleet, destroying ships that had been chained together for protection against Japanese raids and crushing the unmanageable vessels against the shore. Between 50% and 66% of the Mongol forces perished, with thousands more left stranded or washed up on Imari Bay's shores, where the majority were executed. The remaining ships that endured the storm returned to China. The typhoon winds that either sank or dispersed the Mongol fleet away from Japan's coastlines were dubbed divine winds due to their perceived connection to the Japanese plea to Hachiman, the Shinto god of war, for assistance in defending their nation against a numerically superior foe. Similarly, Southeast Asia experienced a series of land and naval assaults, but ultimately evaded conquest as well. Invasions of Vietnam, Burma, and Java managed only limited progress as Mongol forces struggled to adapt to unfamiliar conditions such as humid jungles, parasitic illnesses, and war elephants. Despite his repeated failures, Kublai remained persistent in his attempts to convince Japan to become part of China's tribute system. Kublai's later reign may have been somewhat underwhelming, but he was nonetheless responsible for a relatively peaceful era across Asia known as the Pax Mongolica. However, occasional incidents and discontent arose, particularly when taxes were increased to support Kublai's costly foreign endeavors. Tibet experienced a significant rebellion in the early 1290s, and descendants of Genghis Khan kept encroaching on China's western borders. Kublai's health declined as he became morbidly obese and was plagued by chronic gout and rheumatism. In 1294, Kublai passed away from natural causes at the ripe age of 79 or 80, an impressive feat for Mongol leaders. His remains were transported to a clandestine location, presumably in Mongolia, adhering to tradition, and most likely interred within an opulent tomb, though its whereabouts remain unknown. Kublai was succeeded by his grandson, Temur, as both Khan and Emperor of China after his initial choice. His son Zhenjin met an untimely demise. The Yuan Dynasty experienced around 30 years of stability before it was plagued by internal conflicts and never regained the glory of Kublai's rule. This empire governed China until the emergence of the Ming Dynasty in 1368. Kublai Khan's court and empire have captivated the world's imagination, owing to accounts from Marco Polo and others, making his summer capital, Chengdu, synonymous with luxury and delightful living. While Genghis Khan is often remembered for being the most formidable Mongol military leader, Kublai Khan has gained enduring recognition as the ruler who reaped the benefits of Mongol dominance during the Middle Ages, leaving an indelible impression in the Western world. And with that, we come to the end of today's episode on Kublai Khan and the Yuan Dynasty. It is absolutely fascinating to see how Kublai Khan was able to expand his empire so greatly and establish a new dynasty, all while adapting to Chinese culture and style. The story of the Mongol Empire continues to captivate and inspire. If you enjoyed learning about this period in history, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting historical content. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss an episode.